Hi there, welcome back to my channel. This is Trisha, and lately I have featured this Art in Bloom bundle from Stampin' Up on a couple of different projects. I can link in my description to videos where I did a planner page and also a card project using the stamp set. So I am going to use this yet again, and I'm going to focus this time on the hybrid embossing folder and also incorporate a couple of the stamps and dies, but just wanted to walk you through this cool card project. So just another look at this bundle. This is the stamp set. It's a photopolymer set, and it has two-step stamping. Oops, that kind of fell out. But you've got this solid image and then an outline image that you can layer together to create flowers and a couple different types of leaves. And then you have some decorative border stamps as well as some sentiments and a little small group of flowers here too. So that's the stamp set. There's 15 stamps in here. You also have the coordinating dies. So the die set, the three main large flowers are stamped. The outlines are stamped as a group, but they can be die set individually. So if you stamp them together on one page and then you use the die to run it through once like this, you will get three separate florals that you can pop up on your page, which I love. And then you have a couple of the different leaf dies, and I really love that they give you multiples. This is the exact same shape and this is the exact same shape, but it allows you to cut multiples at once, which I love. This little trio of flowers, and then this doesn't coordinate with necessarily a shape in the stamped image, but it can be used with any of the sentiments in the set, and it's just sort of a ticket shape, which I think is a really cool, interesting shape for a sentiment or for other elements, layering elements on your page. There's also another die that doesn't coordinate with a stamp, but it's just a pretty detailed die. And it cuts like an intricate set of leaves that have cutouts within them. So I'll show you how that looks too, because we're going to use that on the project today. Okay. And the third piece of this bundle is the embossing folder. So this is the Bloom Hybrid Embossing Folder. And if you've seen any of the other hybrid embossing folders from Stampin' Up, they're really cool design. You can use this just to emboss your paper as normal, just like this. Or if you want to take it up a notch, which we'll do today, this trio of florals, this is designed to fit. Oops, I got it on the wrong side. You have to do it on the side that has the Stampin' Up logo. And it is designed to fit right in here. Let me get that into place. There we go. It kind of snaps right down into place with the cutting side facing up. And it goes right around the embossed images so that you not only get the exterior perimeter of your paper gets embossed, this interior gets embossed, but you also get these three florals cut out at the same time. So they've released other hybrid embossing folders like this before. It's just a really cool product and gives you so many different options for this set. So really great bundle. You get lots of stuff to work with, and we're going to kind of feature this embossing folder on today's project. Let me get this stuff off to the side. Okay, I have a piece of A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch Petal pink cardstock, and I am going to start by putting this in my embossing folder. Oops, I gotta lay the die down there first. So I'm going to put the die down into my embossing folder. And as I said, this, I gotta get it in there right. There we go. This clicks in. You can kind of feel it like a puzzle settle in And you have to have it on the side of your embossing folder that has the black Stampin' Up logo, the square box. This side of the embossing folder also, you know, has the other side of the flowers, but the die doesn't work on that side. So you've got to have it on this side with the cutting side facing up. And then I'm going to place my paper inside and just sort of make sure that it's even. And then I'm going to close this embossing folder over my paper, and I'm going to go ahead and run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine using the correct set of plates. I don't even know what it's called, but you use the platform and then you use this number 4 plate on top. Okay, so I've just brought this through my machine. And let's take a look. There we go. Let's take a look at this. This is so pretty. You have, I'm going to put this back into place for a second just so you can kind of see the whole design. But you've got these 3 flowers and all the leaves are sort of radiating out from the flowers in the background, and it's so much texture. I'm not sure how much you're able to see it on screen. Let me pull it up here. You see all those embossed details? There's just a ton of texture. And then as you can see, these are just falling right out beautifully. So it cuts these 3 elements. And you could pop this up onto another project. You can use these things together or separate. There's just so many options of what you can do. So for my project today, I am going to make a top folding greeting card. This is an A2 card. And I have just cut my thick basic white cardstock in half down the middle. So I've cut it at 4 1/4 and then scored it at 5 1/2 on the long edge to create a top folding card. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue down using my green glue. I'm going to glue this whole exterior or perimeter part of my embossed panel right onto the front of my page. Or of my card. So I'm going to make sure to put my glue close to this inside edge so that these don't lift up. Although we're going to have a lot covering this, so it probably won't be a problem, but I'm just running a little bit of green glue around my cutout pieces and also around the perimeter. I like to use the liquid glue for embossed panels because you have an uneven surface. I feel like the liquid glue does a better job adhering all this like bumpy paper. So I am just carefully lining this up, and this is just going to cover the entire front panel. There's no border here. So I'm just I've got an extra minute with the liquid glue to sort of slide things around so my edges line up nicely. And now I've got my outside ready to go. So for these pieces, just to add a little pop to these, I am going to go ahead and color them with my blends. So I have the Flirty Flamingo set of blends. I have the dark and the light here. And I'm going to color these in just to kind of give them a little bit of distinction from the background. And I like to start with my dark, and I am just going to add some strokes from the base of the petals and put some darkness where one petal would overlap another, or where there might be like crinkles along the top of the petal. And this does not have to be perfect. Also keep in mind that the blends go on looking much darker and then dry quite a bit softer. So I'm just flicking some of the dark color to color this in. And now I'm going to go in with the lighter Flirty Flamingo, And I'm just going to blend over the top and cover the whole petal for each one of these. There we go. So that is some really simple coloring. Nothing fancy, but using the two colors together, concentrating the darkness a little more towards the base gives me some dimension, and then I've got all the dimension from the embossing as well. Now I don't have a yellow, blend marker yet, so I'm just I grabbed another yellow alcohol marker from my stash to fill in the center. But you could do that with your Daffodil Delight, or with really any of the yellows from the Stampin' Up line. Okay, so you can see how that's going to look against the background. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the exact same thing with my other two blooms, and then I'll catch you back up. Okay, I've just finished my coloring on the other two flowers, and you can see that those kind of pop right back into their spots and how pretty that looks, and they stand out against the background. So let's get to work on the leaves. I already pre-stamped some of the leaves here, but it was really simple, straightforward stamping. I used the solid leaf and then the outline leaf. So if you can see those, there's a solid kind of textured leaf here, and then there is like a real artistic looking double outline. And I used those larger leaves, and you can see I stamped a whole bunch of these in the solid and the outline over it. In some cases, I stamped off and used second generation for the solid, and this is all done in the soft Succulent ink. And then I can use the coordinating dies. And as I mentioned, there are two of these in the set, so I can line these up. And you notice when you look at the leaf, one of the sides of the die is like a little more bubbled out than the other. And when you look at the outline, that is also the case. So you kind of line up the bubbled out side with your stamped image like this. And you can cut these two at a time, which is always really nice because you've got both dies. I'm going to go ahead and do this one also. I'll go run these through my machine, and like I said, I already got a start on cutting out some of the other ones. Oops, that came undone. So I'm going to run these through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I will be right back. I'm going to cut all of these out. Okay, I just finished die cutting these. So I have a whole bunch of leaves to work with. Get my dies and set those off to the side. And I think before I start playing with those, I'm going to put some dimensionals behind the flowers to pop them up, but I'm going to put the dimensionals in the center of the flowers so that I have room around the edges to tuck leaves in. Okay, so I'm down to the edges of my dimensional sheet here, so I'm just going to cut around those. Put some behind the middle of this one. And then some behind this guy. Okay, so you can see that just a little bit of dimension under there creates a little shadow and adds just a lot more interest to our project. And now I'm ready to start playing around with the leaves and get those positioned. All right, I think I like this arrangement for the leaves. And now I'm going to bring in that detailed leaf that's from the same die set. And I'm going to cut that out of some soft succulent. Okay, my leaves are not tacked down yet. I'm just kind of fiddling with where I want these guys. I'll just play around with this for a little bit until I have it looking like I'd like it to look. Okay, so something like this is what I'm after. I want this to be a birthday card, and the sentiments in here aren't really appropriate for the birthday card I'm trying to make, so I think I'm going to, let's see. I always go back to this. This is such a great set that was in Celebration. This is no longer available, but you can go through your stash and find any birthday wish or anything that works for the occasion. I just chose this Best Wishes stamp, and I have already done the stamping. All I did was use the oval, scalloped oval punch, and just stamped that in the soft succulent right onto that oval. And that is going to go right in here. So I just want to put that there so that I can see that I still like the arrangement of my leaves. Okay, for the leaves, what I like to do is put a dimensional towards the top of the leaf and then a little of the green glue towards the bottom, and that kind of gives my leaf a little curve. So I pop a dimensional on top, use a little liquid glue towards the bottom, tuck that back in where it was, hold that down for a sec. Now for these open ones, I don't want to use the dimensional unless I know that something else is going to cover it. So I think for this one, I'm just going to put green glue on the bottom half. And I use just the slightest amount. And let the top half kind of pop up from my card. And then on this one, put a dimensional at the top. Little green glue on the bottom. I'll just continue doing my leaves all around like that. Okay, for my sentiment, I'm gonna take just a little Flirty Flamingo ink on a blender brush and just lightly hit the edges of that scallop. It just gives me a little bit of color, sets it apart just a little bit. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals also. Now, my 3 flowers are already up on dimensionals, and then there's this gap in the middle. So I'm going to pop a dimensional into the middle of that gap to kind of create a more flat surface. And then I will put dimensionals behind here. And this will give me just an extra boost for the sentiment so that it sticks up above those flowers. I'm putting that off center over to the right a little bit, nestled in between those flowers. Okay, so for my final step, I used some of the Stampin' blends, the Flirty Flamingo blends again, and colored just with the light onto white ribbon. And I'm just going to tie a little bow and put my bow on here. All right, I've tied my bow, and I'm just going to trim my ends a little bit here. Got a pretty little bow. And I'm just going to use a glue dot and just kind of roll it up a little bit and then put it behind the knot of my bow. And then I'll secure it over here on the side of my project, and I kind of fuss with my bow ends just a little bit. Okay, so I think my card is pretty much done. I might hit it with a little wink of Stella, and then I will take some close-up photos. Sorry, I'm still messing with that bow. There we go. I might hit it with some wink of Stella, and then I will try to catch that glitter or shimmer in the close-up photos, but that is my card project. It's like, it makes it so easy to come up with something beautiful just by using that embossing folder. It kind of does all the work for you. All this dimension's already in there, all the detail, and it already cuts those out so you can pop them up and give it some life. I just think it turned out so pretty. Thanks for watching. I would love to have you subscribe and stay tuned to my channel for more videos like this one. And I will always link to these products in the description box below. I will also have a link to my shop in the description box below. So if you want to go browse any other Stampin' Up! Products, of course, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And if you have any questions or need any help with any Stampin' Up! Needs, I would be happy to help you. Feel free to reach out. I love hearing from you, and I'll be looking in the comments. Thanks so much. Everybody have a terrific day.